On today's special episode of Homeworthy, we're stepping inside 4 charming bungalow homes, each with its own unique personality and inviting interiors. First, we visit a beautifully restored Dallas bungalow where an extensive renovation brought back its original charm with a Ralph Lauren-inspired aesthetic and treasures collected from around the world. Next, we explore a vibrant Atlanta home where layers of color, texture, and bold patterns, along with pops of purple, create a warm and maximalist retreat. Then we head to Long Beach, New York to tour a breezy beach bungalow, where a 1950s home has been reimagined into a stunning mid-century modern haven. Finally, we step into a classic bungalow where traditional furnishings mix effortlessly with flea market finds, Ikea staples, and a custom bar, complete with rosé on tap. You're watching Homeworthy, where we believe every home has a story. Scan the QR code to subscribe to our new channel, Weddingworthy, where we celebrate amazing couples and the love stories behind their perfect day.
Hi, Homeworthy. I'm Javier. Welcome to my Dallas, Texas home. Coming in. Hello, I'm Javier Burkle. Welcome to my house here in Dallas, Texas. I'm an interior designer and I can't wait to show you my home. A little bit about my background. I grew up in Mexico City. I went to college here and then I actually went to work for Neiman Marcus in their buying office. After that, I decided to transition back into a little bit more creative, which was through Ralph Lauren. I started working in their home department. I was there for a couple of years and they were the ones that actually pushed me to start my own company and to kind of help them from an outside with visual and merchandising. So that was 6 years ago when I started my own company and everything kind of just changed from there. So office is now based in the house and I have a couple employees that help me with the projects that we're working on. So this home is a 1937 cottage bungalow. It's kind of like an English inspired house that we wanted to bring back to its original style and aesthetics. So this house is actually completely different than when we bought it. We had to switch quite a bit of things and update a lot of it. One of the original things in the house is of course all the stone around it outside and then the floors. Other than that, everything else has been updated and changed. So this is our living room. This is kind of the place where we welcome our friends to have a cocktail before we go to dinner. This is kind of like the cozy place where we're during the holidays, we have our Christmas tree, where we exchange gifts, where we have our fireplace on. This is actually maybe the 3rd time we've remodeled this room. 2nd time we adopted a new puppy that destroyed our couches. So after that, I found this painting that kind of gave me the full inspiration for the room. I love the combination of the navy with the rust, with kind of like a little bit of a masculine look to it, adding a little bit of fun color. So that was kind of like the first piece that I picked for this rendition of the living room. I love that this is kind of like an easy conversation room. We want to make sure that everyone feels comfortable. There's stools that you can pull out if you want to just come and sit. The fireplace is original and we wanted to keep a couple of things original to the house. We also raised the ceiling in this room in this last renovation, which made it feel a lot different than the 9-foot ceilings. So that was a huge change because I was obsessed with this light and this light needed to make it home. So this is a Ralph Lauren chandelier. And I love the combination with the brass and the leather. Gives it kind of like a masculine but old school look to the room. Clearly working at Ralph Lauren kind of influenced a lot of my look. All that combination of like metals with leather with kind of like a European international look. Also kind of a little bit of American and masculine, kind of like influenced in every single room. I love it that feels lived. It doesn't need to feel like it's a gallery or like a show house. It's kind of like a lived room where you want to be comfortable. That's what I want my guests to feel. And also us when we're just around and we're just by the fireplace or just reading, having a drink. It just needs to be lived and comfortable. So this is actually a pair of chests that I found from Scout Design. I told them that if they could find a place, this would be it. I love the storage, but I also love kind of like the combination of the stone with a little bit of a vintage wood. Again, since we kept kind of like the look of the house, I wanted to bring some of the vintage pieces that give it a little bit more original character. I clearly like some layers, so there's always books and trays and like the layers of like different items. Again, every single piece in the house has a little bit of history. This came from a trip to Turkey. This was drawn by my grandmother. She is an artist. Just every single thing has a little bit of a story during our travels or our family. That kind of makes it a little bit more special.
That is an unbelievable piece of art.
Thanks. She is very, very creative and she's super talented. That is one of, I think, 5 pieces that I own of hers, and they're kind of like my most precious pieces that I would love to save forever. So this actually is another Ralph Lauren piece that I actually bought a couple years ago from an estate sale. It actually holds my favorite book in the house. This was my grandfather's original drawings of the Mexican cathedral. It was given to me by my grandmother. She knew that I was going into design and architecture, so this was kind of like her, you can do it, this is in your blood, go for it kind of thing. It's kind of like one of my favorite pieces and it's super special. The rest, as you can tell, is all layers. And of course, there's always my turtle shells. I love a turtle shell theme. You'll see them throughout the house. There's quite a bit of them. They come everywhere. And I love kind of like the story of like the shells kind of like different for every single one, but also it's kind of like, okay, that one's someone's home. I love thinking of someone's like home as something special and unique. So that's kind of like a unique for that one turtle. So this is the original mantle from the house. We actually just lacquered it and changed the tile to give it a little bit of an updated look. We love the scale and it kind of gives the height of the ceiling still even more of an impact when you walk in. I love lacquering things in black. I feel like it just gives it kind of like a new air of fresh air. And it just feels a lot more like updated, but at the same time, it doesn't feel like it lost its character. I don't have the best green thumb, but I love having plants around. So I love changing it out and having as many plants around. I feel like it just gives the room a lot of life and a lot of like color, just that kind of changes seasonally. That's actually a plant that was given by one of our best friends on our first trip to Mexico City together. And it's actually the plant that survived the longest, which is, crossing my fingers, will still be there for a while. So
How old is it?
I'm gonna say maybe like 4.5 years old. And it's actually a plant that's actually original to Mexico City. So that's why they were like, thanks for taking us to Mexico and showing us your home. Want to bring a little bit of Mexico to your house. Keep it alive kind of thing. And it's been there. It's still there. Okay, so this is actually, we call her Monique. I've had her for a couple, like she's moved with me a couple times. I bought her at the Saks Fifth Avenue closing here in Dallas. It was kind of like their closing sale. Everyone was buying fixtures. And of course, I ended up buying a gigantic picture. We call her Monique because that was actually my roommate at the time. And she kind of looked like her. So we kept saying to all of our guests that that was her. So she's moved with us. It's one of my favorite pieces. I love the scale. I feel like when you buy bigger art and like smaller rooms, it just makes the room feel bigger and a little bit more special. So that's a fun piece that will move with me again. So we had been looking for a home in this neighborhood for a couple years. We drove up and down these streets every weekend trying to figure out what the best house was gonna be. And this actually came as a hit pocket, which was that it was not in the market, but it was coming up. So we came to see it the first day that it came out, and we knew exactly that this was the project that we wanted to take. So the house was in good condition, as in like the structure was actually very strong still. Other than that, electric had to be changed, plumbing had to be updated, windows had to be completely switched out. So it had a good bones that just needed a lot of love. Welcome to the dining room. This is actually one of my favorite rooms in the house. Love hosting dinner parties. I want people to be comfortable and have the most fun time having conversations. This room, I wanted to actually keep it a little cozy. So we didn't raise the ceiling in here. We wanted to make it still look like super moody and dark, candle lit whenever we're doing our dinner parties. This is actually one of my most, one of the most special walls in the house. I love layering the grass cloth with all these paintings that have a little meaning and different history to it. So one of my favorite things is actually this golden egg. This is actually the centerpiece for our golden egg dinner party. It actually holds your flatware, and we have a different theme every month for our golden eggs. So it sits 6, everyone has to bring a different course, and we change it every month. So for example, for September, it's Mexican Independence, so we do Mexican themed food. For November, we do a Thanksgiving dinner. For December, we'll do a little Christmas. But we change it up every month, and it's always the same group of people. The golden egg is always the centerpiece, and I just do the flower arrangements and the candle, depending on the theme. My favorite drink is tequila and soda. So clearly this is the tequila mezcal side. That is what we mix every weekend with just a little Topo Chico, not even lime or lemon, just straight up. And this is kind of like for the rest of the people that come over. These are actually tequilas too, but clearly that's the influence that we like serving. This is just an easy bar. I love having the bar in the dining room so that when you're like having dinner, we can just serve straight. You don't have to get up to go to the kitchen. There's a couple pieces that are kind of meaningful. This actually came from my partner, Mason. He's had that piece for a long time, and I thought it was kind of like fun with a equestrian theme, Ralph Lauren look. I also love monkeys, as I've mentioned. So having a little monkey in every room is kind of like a little special and kind of fun to just have it just peeking and having a little cigarette while you're having dinner. The ceiling in this room is actually one of my favorite things. This was painted by Ashley Braithwaite. She used 18 pencils to do it. And it's kind of fun because as you walk around, when you walk in, you see kind of one side of the clouds, but when you go to the other side, it kind of like changes. And at night, it kind of glows a little different. So it's that really fun effect that she created. It's all pencil lines that she worked on. Yeah, she was here for almost 2 weeks, just doing little lines all over the ceiling. She had to get a really good massage after. But it's a super fun effect. I feel like people, when you're sitting at the table, it's kind of fun to look up and just look at the clouds. My favorite thing about the room is that we could fit a round table. I love having a round table because it's just like so easy for conversation. When it's a long table, I feel like communication gets a little lost between the two sides. With this, it's just one single table, one single round. There's no head of the table or special seats other than the couch. The couch is definitely a little more comfortable than the seats, but still, it's still a round table, so everyone has the same opportunity to have a conversation. And you can hear each other. Anytime that I can do a round table at a project, that's what I like pushing for. I think dark colors on the wall is actually kind of like a lost myth that if it's dark, the room is going to feel smaller. Yes, it's going to make it moodier, but it's not going to make it feel the size different. It's actually all about the lighting. So even painting your walls or doing a black grass cloth like this room, like it actually makes it even kind of go a little bit deeper out. And it's just kind of like the art kind of floating, which makes it even bigger. It's all about the lighting and like, of course, the look that you're wanting to go for. For this room, I would definitely wanted to create it a little bit moodier and darker and like where you feel a little bit more comfortable. That is actually a painting of the French Revolution. My grandmother's French. So when I found this at an antique shop, I was like, I need to take that and that should go somewhere else special. It actually hung in my powder bathroom in my last place for the longest time, and people had the longest conversations about like the nicest piece in my house being in the powder bath. And now, of course, it's in the dining room. It's kind of like everyone's having a dinner at this place. It's kind of connection with the dining area. It was just kind of fun to kind of bring some of the French inspiration from like a family, style heirloom kind of thing. So,
And it's right next to the lobster.
Right next to the French lobster, which is, I found that at Round Top last year. One of my best friends and I went together and he was obsessed with the lobster. And I was like, I'm just going to buy it because I don't know. It's just fun. But it actually fit perfect in the dining room. I was like, perfect, kind of like dinner theme. So, and it's a fun pop of color that I was not expecting it was going to work in this room. Those pieces of art are always like, some people wanted to design a room around their piece of art. Some people kind of like are the opposite, like design a room and then the art will find its place. This is kind of like one of those that it was like the last piece that found its little corner and kind of added a little color. Another one of my favorite collections is these spies. They were actually a gift from a client. They're the Vanity Fair spies. Each one is a different gentleman, and it actually has the history in the back of what they did or what their profession was. There's a lot of different versions of them. These were actually a gift, and they're one of my favorite pieces. I love that each one is kind of looking a different way. It kind of creates a little bit of a different mood, and like they're either staring at you at the table or they're like talking about you kind of like behind your back kind of thing. So those are kind of fun pieces. I love doing the sofa in the dining room. I feel like it's kind of like a special place, but also I kind of wanted to add a different fabric and a different shape, that it didn't just feel like a collection of chairs. I kind of like adding that extra like feeling and like color, just to make it a little bit different and not just like you bought the set, you know, as this 8 chairs and that's all matching. I call myself a collected maximalist. So we love layers. We love having a lot of items that have stories. We love traveling. So every time that we go somewhere new, we try to bring something that kind of reminds us of our trips. We also love combining our home heirlooms. So every single piece that has something from our family that means something, we put it out just to like kind of remind us of where we come from. Okay, so this is the kitchen. This is one of the biggest transformations in the house. This was actually done a couple years after we moved in, because I just wanted to understand what the layout and the functionality of the kitchen needed to be. Mainly, we wanted to center the stove and make the windows kind of like focal points. The stove used to be to the side, the sink used to be kind of like in an awkward position. So we actually made the windows bigger, created a little sink area, center the stove, and make this tile and built in. It's kind of like the focal point. With the kitchen, again, I didn't want it to look just like a brand new kitchen. I still wanted to bring some of the character of the original house. So that's why I wanted to do kind of like a different shape on the built-ins, not just kind of like all squared out, and add a little bit of like natural tones with the brass for it to look like it belonged to the original house. This is kind of like a little island. This kitchen, as much as it would be fun to cook in it, it's actually just for prepping and making drinks. But we, as you know, the center of the house is always the kitchen. So we love having our friends just kind of like coming around, and we want it to be a little bit bigger so that people just like surround the island and hang out while we're just prepping the catering food. Originally, this side was actually just pantry slash washer and dryer, and we wanted to incorporate this kind of like as part of the kitchen. So kind of give it a little bit more of an easier flow with the hallway. So speaking of catering, we host a Friendsgiving once a year with about 30 people. Almost every single piece of that catering is actually cooked by someone else. We don't usually do anything. But same with the holidays, we throw a Christmas party and we do chicken fingers from Cane's. If you're from Texas or Mississippi, you'll understand Cane's is the best chicken with the cane sauce. And we'll just do towers of Cane's chicken here in that island in the kitchen and in the office, so people can kind of walk around and like have food as they're drinking and enjoying the carolers. All the sauces are in gravy boats. To kind of dress it up, you still need to like make it special during the holidays. So gravy boats and silver platters, everything's served to the nines just to make it look a little more holiday friendly and special. Another one of my favorite things is actually having the bigger windows and be able to look out of the pool in the renovated backyard. When we're having a party, it's kind of fun to see if anyone needs drinks or if we need to like be bringing anything out just to kind of like enjoy the view. We'll go see the bedrooms, but we'll go to the backyard in a little bit. The lighting is actually super special. It came from a French elementary school. This antique dealer in McKinney found it. They had a set of 3. I wish I could have fit all 3, but there's only space for 1, and it's one of my favorite things in the house. So even though I don't like to cook, I love hosting dinner parties. So this is the glassware collection, just setting up different themes for our dinner parties. And this is all the china and plates for all the times that we have people over for dinner.
So you have many themes.
Yes. I mean, we host at least 1 dinner party a month, and I don't think I've set the same table twice. These actually came from Target. I'm obsessed with them, and this is actually our next dinner party theme. We're gonna do a Mexican Dia de los Muertos idea, so this is gonna go with all the terracotta colors. Super excited about the shape. I thought it was super different. So same as high and low, I love combining old and new. So this is my grandmother's china, and I love combining with kind of an updated chargers or glassware, it's kind of fun to have a different combination of patterns on your table. So that's kind of fun to bring a little bit of history with some of the new, even a Target find. So before we go into the bedroom, this is kind of like the connection between the living, dining area, and the bedroom side. This is our hallway, which is kind of like our catch-all bookcases, but also every single thing in it has a little bit of a meaning. For example, this is a painting that I got made of our dogs. It's a little sketch made by this artist here in Dallas. It's kind of fun. That is my grandmother's silver set that I love having, just so I kind of look at it and think of like fun times with her having a little tea in her house. Of course, I love collecting coffee table books, and it gives me kind of like a color organization attack to be able to like add more books in here. Each book, of course, kind of like inspiration, and most of them are interior design, but of course fashion kind of like goes hand in hand with all that. So a couple other pieces. Again, love Ralph Lauren, so a little Ralph Lauren skull that when I was working there was kind of like my goodbye gift when I left the company. Love a blue and white jar. I feel like that's always timeless, and it kind of goes in every single shelf. This was actually a set of 6. It was supposed to be maybe at the pharmacy, and each one had a different ingredient. So it's kind of fun because I was able to split them, and there's a couple of them hidden in other bookcases. Another one of my favorite items are these tiny little hands. Of course, it's a miniature version, but this is a mold to making gloves. Not the fancy kind, just kind of like the plastic, like wash your dishes, latex, like not your everyday one, not your special one. So I love those little quirky little moments to kind of layer in your bookcases and have a little story. Welcome to the bedroom. This is the primary bedroom of the house. This is kind of like our cozy, more intimate, kind of like more comfortable room in the house. I wanted to make it very masculine with a lot of textures and more of a warmer space. We added the texture in the ceiling. I call the ceiling the 5th wall of a room. It's kind of fun to add a little bit of a different impact, just to kind of open the space and not just have one giant white wall that doesn't have that much of a interest to the eye. I love layering different colors and patterns on a bed. I think the more texture and interest that you can put on a bed is kind of like more inviting and definitely more comfortable. There's a lot of inspiration from Ralph Lauren, of course. I love doing kind of like the same Ralph Lauren kind of gallery walls with collecting of different pieces, different eras, adding a little bit of color. I love adding reading lights kind of just at night when you're just wanting like a little bit of a mood light. And of course, I love adding the bamboo shades so that you don't have to be closing your curtains every single time. It just makes it a little easier, and now that's a little bit more of like a natural texture to it as well. Yeah, there's different space in the room. I mean, this is definitely where I kind of sit in the morning and kind of just check my email, check my mail, kind of get some work done. This kind of like when we're watching TV, it's kind of nice to just be able to sit and not just be on the bed and laying down. That's kind of like a corner that's kind of just cozy for like a reading nook. Kind of nice with the natural light from the doors and a little reading light. I like creating different moments in every room, different stations. I kind of you move around where it's not just all focused on the bed. I can't sleep without a fan, so we definitely had to make it a little bit special. I always make fun of my clients that they say we need a fan in the bedroom, but at the same time, I'm one of those people. In Texas, you definitely need it. If we lose power and you don't have a fan, you're gonna have to move out of your house. So that is a must in a bedroom. Okay, this dresser is a vintage Bloomingdale's design. It is supposed to look like it's a turtle shell, but it's actually all bamboo that has been treated to look like the effect of a turtle shell. So clearly I was going to be obsessed with it. Of course, it's great storage, and I just love layering it surrounding the TV so the TV is not just the focal point. Even setting the lamp kind of like a little bit in front of it kind of makes it like a little bit more layered and not just what you look at when you first look at the wall. I think lampshades are one of the most important things in a room. It's kind of like another white canvas that should be interesting and texturized and add a little bit of color. So most of the lampshades in the house or at clients' houses, I like doing something interesting with it. Originally, this was a window. So I was able to find these vintage doors that we just needed to cut the stone out, stone that we actually used to do the little step that takes us out to the pool. Welcome to the backyard. So this was actually a year project. We had a little issue with some trees that were growing back here when we originally bought the house. That was the original driveway to the garage, and that back area was kind of like just the mist area. So we had to take all these trees out, clean it all up, and that's when we decided that we need to do different areas in the backyard. So this is off of the primary, which is kind of like where we laid out, like lay in the morning and kind of like check our mail, kind of like have a little bit of a get the day started moment. And this is actually our entertaining area. We love having people over to the pool and then grilling and like just enjoying the fireplace. It's not a huge size, but it's kind of fun because this is what we call our drinking pool. It has a bench all around. So we're not going to be doing laps. We're actually just going to be relaxing and sitting around. So the inspiration for the backyard area is actually bringing a little bit of my Mexican heritage. I love kind of like how all the properties in Mexico and the haciendas have like the big stone walls, but also it kind of creates like a living area. It's not just like a backyard for certain activities. We actually want to create like a full living space where you can have pretty much your entire life out here. So there's like your dining and you're sitting and like you're hanging out. There's not just specific activities that you come and do out. It's kind of like year round, sit by the fire or like have a dinner party. So that was kind of like the main inspiration. I love also the idea of like the black and white to kind of keep it consistent with the house. So we love the idea of like painting all the stone white to make it a little bit cleaner and just making the pop of black and like the built-in pergola and some of the furniture. So the space when we first bought the house is actually just grass, pretty much in this area where the pool is. Everything else was pretty bad looking, not very healthy trees that we actually had to take care of. And at some points they were actually not able to survive. So we decided to take everything down and just make it a little bit more open and more of like a clean space. Now let me show you one of my favorite things. When we built the pool, I always said that I wanted to have an outdoor shower. So we were able to add it to this side of the house, kind of giving us a little bit of a privacy and a little bit of an oasis back here. Actually, I come here a lot, way more than my regular shower. So it's kind of nice to have the option. With the Texas heat, it's kind of nice also after the pool to come and take a cold shower after you've been in the pool and like just go to dinner right after. So it's kind of nice to have the option, and it's an outdoor shower. Just being outside is kind of like the nicest thing to have. So this was actually a gift from one of our best friends. They came from New Mexico. They're just dried chilies. It's super fun because like as the summers change, like as the weather keeps changing, the chilies keep changing colors. I don't know if at some point we might use it to make some salsa or something, but they're kind of a fun little texture addition to just hang in the shower. So now we're going to the office. This actually used to be the original detached garage to the house. So we decided to finish it out and have a working space / presentation room to have our clients in. So again, this is another room that we decided to raise the ceiling to make it a little more spacious, add a little window, add a lot of glass doors, and we had a little bathroom in this room as well. I know, this space we actually wanted to make it a little bit more neutral, a little bit less moody and dark, just to feel a little bit more welcoming and a little bit more of a creative space. It's easier for us to have a presentation without having all these distractions of like moody, and like it's easier to see the colors and like see all the textures that we're showing our clients. So this is kind of like where we do a lot of presentations. This is our communal desk, so it's kind of like a creative space where we all kind of like come up with ideas and concepts for our projects. I feel like I've been able to combine my Mexican heritage with my American education in creating a very collected and like, I would say maybe like a little international look, which kind of helps differentiate and kind of like create a little bit of a Mexican spice to my aesthetics. My favorite thing about this home, it's kind of hard to pick just one, but I kind of love that it has some history and that we were able to restore it to its original like value, and like everything is kind of like looks new, but nothing changed to what it actually looked almost 100 years ago. I love the little spaces. I love having different rooms for different occasions. I don't mind an open concept home, but I love being able to host people in different parts of the house with different feelings. So if we're in this room, it's kind of fun to have a drink and make it cozy and have the fire on. And then when the dinner's ready, we move into the dining room and have more of like a conversation, sit down, drinks, and just spend the rest of the evening. So it's kind of special about the home. This is the primary bathroom. This is the room that we spent quite a bit of time in the morning. And we had this mural made by one of our local friends, artist. Her name is Ashley Braithwaite. She spent 5 weeks here working on all the details. And I love that she hid kind of a couple little things throughout the walls. For example, this is my favorite tequila. She put on my little bench on my side. She did like a little squirrel. And then on this side, this is my initial and my partner's initials on the tree. This is my family crest. So it's kind of fun that as we kind of like lived in it, we found a lot of other different like things that she hid in there, which is kind of really fun. Something that I love doing is turning pieces of furniture into vanities, so they already have a little bit of character and it doesn't look just like a built-in. These are actually pieces that I found a couple years ago that I transformed into vanities. The only thing that you need to do is kind of like rework the drawers to make sure that all the plumbing works with your sinks and faucets. Again, I wanted to go back to the original look of the house, so that's why we decided to do the 2 faucets, one cold, one hot, instead of like doing just like the traditional 2 sides. Going to this side, the original shower, tub, water closet area was completely different. So I decided to open it all up and create just one wet area. So we have his and his showers with the tub in the middle. It used to be a shower, a tub, and then the water closet on this side. So we just wanted to create just one big area, kind of like make it a little bit more interesting and a little bit more spacious and symmetric with the rest of the bathroom. It's actually pretty nice. It's kind of nice also that you don't have to rush someone to be able to get into the shower. You can take your time and, you know, do your own schedule in the morning. Welcome to the closet. This used to be my office, but since I needed a little bit more storage, we had to move the office to the garage and move my closet in here. I think a dressing room is one of the most important rooms in the house. I feel like that's where you get inspired to like what you're gonna look like for the day. And one of my favorite things is changing my shoes. Clearly I have a little bit of a problem with smoking slippers. I have a collection of smoking slippers and Sabas, which are some of the most comfortable shoes. And I love that that's kind of like the focal point whenever I need to get dressed. Some of my favorite things in this room are actually the lights. Those are Timothy Alton. I love the theme of like a top hat for like a closet. It actually kind of gives you good light, but also it's kind of like a fun conversation and little work of art sculpture looking. I love doing everything by color and kind of like changing it by season. So we did all the hanging and all the sweaters just on top. It's a very organized mess. I know where everything is, although it looks like there's a lot going on in here. So I'm clearly a collector and I love a little maximalist. So this is the collection of ties. I barely wear a tie. It's only if it's necessary. And there's a little moment where it's just like some of my most special, intimate pieces. That is a Birkin bag that my mom used to carry. She didn't like it and it was a little bit too heavy for her. So she gave it to me so I could frame it and keep it in my closet. This is actually one of my other favorite pieces. This actually came from the original Neiman Marcus downtown. And I feel like it's super special. It was in the dressing room in one of the biggest stores in the country, and I was able to get one of the pieces here. These are my favorite stubs. I feel like it kind of talks about like my everyday today. They're like paint splattered, which is exactly how I feel every single day after work. I feel like when I wear them, I feel like I'm already like ready to go for the day and get to the projects and get the paint going. Welcome to the den. This is where we watch our TV and hang out on like Sunday afternoons. This room actually was all inspired by the painting hanging by the window. That's actually my grandmother's self-portrait. That was one of her tests when she was graduating from art school. So when she gifted me that, I kind of wanted to create a room around those colors, and that's why this room turned out to be navy and like browns. This is just kind of like a cozy room that we love just to hang out. Again, I love adding a little detail on the ceiling just to make it a little more interesting. This is a wallpaper that looks like fabric, but it gives you that linen denim look. So something that I love doing is actually finding vintage pieces, either in the art or in pieces of furniture. That side table, for example, came from my estate sale a couple blocks away, and it's one of my favorite pieces. This dresser came from Round Top a couple years ago, and I paid, I think, $200, and it just gives it so much character, and it feels like it kind of brings everything together. Same with the art. There's several pieces that is just kind of like the fun story of where I found it, either at a vintage shop or at an estate sale. It's kind of fun to layer those pieces with some of the new things that you find, just to create that balance.
What does the word home mean to you?
That's your safe place. That's where you keep your most valuable things, of course, and where you should be like the most comfortable. And also it's kind of like the place that you welcome people to get to know you a little better. This is kind of like your most intimate place that you open up to other people.
Hi, Homeworthy. I'm Amber, and welcome to my beautiful home in Atlanta, Georgia. Come on in.
You're watching Homeworthy, where we believe every home has a story.
My name is Amber Guyton, and we are in my home in Atlanta, Georgia. I have lived in Atlanta before in 2010 to 2015, and then I moved to Texas and then to California. And during the pandemic, I was working full-time in tech at the time, and everyone basically said you could live anywhere. So I decided to move back to Atlanta. Cheaper cost of living, cheaper housing, obviously. And this house was built in 2021, 2020. I closed in February of 2021. It's a brand new construction home, but it's a bungalow. It was built to look like a lot of the smaller bungalows in this historic neighborhood of Adair Park. So I was thrilled to have a little bit of the best of both worlds, to have a bungalow that's brand new and easy to just move in, turnkey. All I had to do was decorate versus moving into something that looks too cookie cutter. It still has the character that the neighborhood has in all of the homes. So I have been in this home about 2.5 years, and I've personalized it with color, texture, pattern, and just my colorful aesthetic that I have as an interior designer. So this is my living room. My house, when you walk in, there is no grand foyer or entryway, but I do have some hooks on the door to hang your jacket, your bag, etc. And then you walk in and you're immediately greeted by the living room. So I have enough seating for just myself and my dog, but ample seating if I have some friends or family over. This is the only TV in my home. I'm not a big TV person. I'll watch TV. A lot of times it's just on for noise, but I love the Samsung frame because you could turn it into art when it's not on, just play some music. It's beautiful. It's flush to the wall, and it takes your attention off of the electronics, and you kind of just are enveloped by everything in the space. So the first thing I did when I moved in the house, as I mentioned, is painting. So because the ceilings, the lofted ceilings in here are kind of high, I just went about 5 feet up all the way around, just so the space wouldn't feel too dark, but also still have enough color. You can see that I added plantation shutters and drapery to the windows. So I still get a lot of good light, but it's a great way to kind of adjust how much light, natural light gets in the space. And then the curtains, I just love putting curtains up, even if they're not functional. They just kind of frame the window and add a little character to the window frame. So my coffee table, I love, it's called the art display coffee table because the surface is glass, so you could fill the bottom with coffee table books or anything that you wish to be seen. I've got a ton of coffee table books filled with interiors and Black artists and all the things. I always have some magazines on top for casual reading, and then this tray is filled with things like sage and fresh flowers, candles, just things to kind of set the mood in my living space. And I like that it's wide enough that if I do have some friends over and we're playing cards, or we have like a charcuterie board and wine, like it's more than enough space for us to fill the surface with. This is my roommate, Ralph. I've had him, I adopted Ralph when he was 6 weeks old, and now he's 15. He'll be 15 in December. So he's my buddy, he's my roommate. It's his house. I just pay the bills. His meal plan and the mortgage, you know, that's my responsibility, but he keeps me company. He's living here rent-free, yes. He's here. He gives comfort and hugs and a lot of love. So he's my bestie. I definitely want my home to feel cozy. I love to just cuddle up on this chase part of my sofa, put my feet up, and I've got a lot of blankets and pillows to help supply some of that comfort. So like my best friend that lives in Dallas, whenever she visits, we're just on this couch binge watching something and covered with blankets. Even Ralph, this is his usual spot, on a blanket on the couch. So when you walk into my home, there's no like mudroom or place to drop things off, take your shoes off, etc. So one thing that I added was this coat rack. So I hang my purse, my jacket, hat, whatever, and then if I'm walking Ralph, I'll keep his leash and some of his items in here. I also have a huge candle collection. I'm a bit of a candle hoarder, so that's what takes up most of this. And then also in my media cabinet, I've got some storage here. So it's a small space, but I was able to bring in different furniture items and decor that will serve a purpose and be functional, since I lack that entryway that a lot of traditional homes have. So when I purchased the home, the day I closed, the only thing that was colorful in this house, well, outside of this house, was the exterior. The inside was all beige, taupe, brown, not my style. So the first thing I did was add paint and wallpaper to several of the walls. I updated a lot of the lighting. A lot of it was like oil rubbed bronze, and I love brass. I love matte black. So I swapped out a lot of the fixtures and the lighting. And then probably the biggest change that I did was I painted the kitchen cabinets. The kitchen was originally all dark brown wood, and it's a small kitchen, so it already felt a little dark, but I wanted to give it some interest, some excitement, so I painted my cabinets in the island green, and I think it is the perfect pop of color when you look in the house. When you walk in, it immediately grabs your attention. So now that you've seen the living room, let's go a little further into the house and see the dining room and kitchen. So this is my dining room, my dining space, open concept home. So all of these spaces, the living, dining, and kitchen, are connected. Because of that, I really didn't want to do like a long rectangle traditional dining table. I wanted to do something kind of funky and fun. I love this dining table. It's round. It's probably could fill about 8 people around it. Even though it's just me, I have a couple of chairs here, but my favorite thing about this table is probably the base of it. It's just a work of art, and I think that no matter how many times I move, like, this table is definitely going to come with me. I'm just obsessed with it. And so it it kind of influences community and fellowship, and there's just something about a round table that just makes you want to gather around. So when I have my friends over, my family, my niece and nephews, this is where we eat, this is where we laugh, play games, etc. And then I added a very large wall mirror here. I think it helps with some of the lack of light. It kind of, anytime you want to make a home feel brighter or add some light to a space, definitely consider a mirror. So this mirror, as I'm walking out the door, I kind of stop and check out my outfit, do a quick fit check, and it's a great addition to the space, and it's like the perfect wall size for such a large mirror. I love it. I did update the lighting throughout. The only light that I probably didn't update in this house was the ceiling fan in the living room. I added this cool, fun Sputnik light here. The light that was here before was a little lower, and it was kind of like a drum chandelier. Wasn't a fan. So I added this new light that just adds a little more character and illuminates the entire space, not just the dining room. The other thing I loved about this home, even though it was new construction, they did take some time to do some built-ins here. So I have a built-in doggy home underneath the stairs, which is a great use of space. However, Ralph does not go in here. So it just houses his toys. And then this built-in bookshelf, I have several of my books here. The rest of my books in my home are primarily in my office and bedroom. But it's a great styled moment where I have some of my books, can display some color, and it just feels good, feels like home. When you have an open concept home, a lot of times it could feel like an endless runway of space, and you don't really know how to create division. And so a quick tip that I would say, you can anchor spaces with rugs. So my living space has like this shag rug moment. It's colorful, and it kind of boxes out like, here is the living space. The dining space has like this faux hide rug under the table. And then the table itself is such a statement piece. It kind of anchors like, okay, this is where the dining space is. So I would say it's easy to create zones in large spaces by putting rugs down, having foundational furniture. And then sometimes, I mean, you can even create like an accent wall or a gallery wall, something that kind of defines like, okay, here's the next space in this collection of spaces. So those are a couple of tips on how to create that separation. I have always been a creative. I've always loved to color and draw and redecorate my room and beg my mom to paint it 10 different times as a child. And then once I went to college, I decided, I also love to write. So I started off as a print journalism major, thought I would be writing for a newspaper, a magazine, and then decided to be an advertising major because I loved marketing, I loved commercials, I loved branding. And so my career started off with that, sold advertising, and then once I got my MBA in 2014, started working in marketing for different companies, primarily in financial services and then in tech. So booming career, if you will, but there was always that underlying inkling of wanting to have a creative outlet. So Blessed Little Bungalow, my company and brand, started as a blog in 2016 when I lived in Texas. I was working in corporate. I bought a house in San Antonio, and it was a bungalow built in 1946 or 1948, and it was completely renovated. And once I closed, I moved in that same day and decorated the entire space in a week. 3-bedroom, 2-bath house, the entire place, and the back deck. So when I had friends and family come visit, they were just like, what? Like, because they were expecting to come and help me unload boxes and unpack. And my mom looked at me and she said, well, Amber, when are you going to do this for real? And that just ignited something in me to say, okay, well, if this isn't going to be my career, because obviously I've worked hard to get to where I am, at least allow it to be a hobby and an opportunity for me to write and share design tips and my love for making things feel beautiful, but while remaining affordable. And so Blessed Little Bungalow was born in 2016, started as a blog and slowly became a side hustle. And then 5 years later, I decided to go full-time, and now I'm a full-time interior designer, content creator, all the things. So it's been quite a journey, and I feel like I'm just getting started. It's really exciting. Entrepreneurial life is not as fun as I thought it would be. You know, you're your boss, and you realize quickly, like, oh, I'm a bad boss. I need to set boundaries. I need to do better with customer service. I need to outsource things and hire people, and but I'm learning so much about myself, and it's exciting to be able to use the gifts that I've kind of abandon and see how that brings so much joy to people, whether that's on Instagram or my clients' homes. It's been a really fun ride. So now that you've seen the dining room, let's go into the kitchen. The kitchen was my least favorite space in the house when I bought it because it was so brown. It was just brown and dark and not a place that I wanted to spend time. It also is limited in size, so as you can see, I just have one wall of cabinets. A lot of the appliances take up that space. There's limited surface space for toasters and meal prep and etc. But I do have this huge island, which I'm grateful for. So what I decided to do first things first was update the cabinetry. So I painted all of the cabinets and the island green. I swapped out the hardware because before it was just oil rub bronze. So these fun hexagon handles, they just brought a little shine and glamour to the space. Growing up in the South, this is something that's kind of nostalgic for me to see hanging on the walls. Like my mom and grandma, they had several breadboards and cutting boards that were more so for utility use, but it was nothing to actually hang things on the wall and then just pull it off when they needed it, when they were preparing dinner or baking pies or whatever. So it's just a nice southern country touch in my city kitchen. I also updated the pendant lights. These pendant lights are kind of nostalgic. They remind me of like Waffle House or a diner. And the ones that were here before were just very small. So I wanted to go with something that made more of a statement. So I love these globes. I love the milk color. And whether they're on or off, they just make a statement in the space. I feel like pendants, especially in an island kitchen, they're just kind of like the earrings to go with the dress. So these are my kitchen earrings. Then when you walk over here, this is probably the last thing I did in this space was add this beautiful wall mural. So it looks like wallpaper, but it is not. Michelle Key, she's an amazing artist. She does a lot of wall murals and outdoor art in the city of Atlanta, and so I brought her in to paint this botanical fusion of all my favorite plants. So we have the monstera, we have some palms and birds of paradise, snake plants. I just wanted to create something here that gave me something to look at while I'm in the kitchen. But also, this was just such a blank space. I had a gallery wall here before, but it just didn't feel like it was doing enough. So this is probably my favorite space in the house, because a kitchen should really feel like the heart of the home, and this is definitely now a space that I would spend time in. Another thing that I wanted to do in this kitchen, because of the lack of storage, was bring in a statement furniture piece. So this cabinet, I kind of made it into like a beverage, cookbook, wine cellar, if you will. And then I also have storage here for some of my seasonal tableware and things that I don't necessarily use that often, more so for entertaining. So a couple of things in here that I love. I know I shared that I love brass. I love all things gold. So champagne flutes with just a little gold foil on them. Very cute, things I like. Ice bucket, more glasses here, stemless. And then when I have summertime fun cocktails out on the back porch or whatever, I have some colorful plastic glassware that's tucked away in here too. So things I might not necessarily use every day, but they're pretty enough to display year round. So I love this piece. It's beautiful. Again, a black element in the home that just adds a little character. And then Ralph, this is his little station over here where he eats and drinks, as you can see. And then another thing I love that I brought into the kitchen is this runner. I had a different one in here before, Moroccan runner, that was a little too wide. And then this one, it just is a perfect combination of the marigold and fuchsia and mauve that you see throughout the home, but definitely in the kitchen. So it just adds a little warmth to your feet as you're making your coffee or cooking dinner. As far as colors go, when I was young, my favorite color as a child was lavender. I love all shades of purple. And I kind of abandoned it in, like, I guess my teenage years and early 20s, but then back in when I turned 30 again, I'm almost 40, but I just started to fall in love with it again. And not necessarily like Barney purple grape, or, you know, it's like mauve and lavender and blush and just different variations of it. So as soon as you walk in my home, you see a lot of that in the living room. I have like this Merlot color, moody, that's in the living room and wraps to the dining space. And then I have little touches of lavender and blush and mauve throughout. And I'd say another element that you see in my home is like this foundation of black. Black is a color I feel like should be in every space. I'm not so much the black and white furniture showroom sterile look, but I feel like black has a nice it's a good addition to any space because it kind of grounds it, and it gives it a nice contrast no matter what color you choose in a room. My personal style is think of a Crayola box. I like to mix different colors. I like things to feel unexpected, but still all kind of flow together. Nothing too overwhelming. I'd say I'm more of a maximalist, but I'm a maximalist that likes things to make sense. I don't want it to feel too cluttered or over the top. Everything has a purpose. Everything's intentional. And as far as design style, in addition to loving color, texture, and pattern, I'd say I'm like mid-century modern meets glam. Just, you know, there's enough shiny things in the room to get you excited, but nothing so over the top that the home is not livable. So in my clients' design projects that I have a lot of those elements, but in my home, I can really like go for it. There are no guardrails. And so I just want my home to look like me and feel good, feel safe. And that's why it's my sanctuary. So now that you've seen my kitchen, let's go a little deeper into the house. The rear of the home is my mudroom, laundry space, and primary bedroom. as soon as you walk into my mudroom and laundry area, you are immediately greeted by this sun shining gold taupe, beautiful wallpaper. It's very graphic. It's very in your face, but it's nostalgic for me because my grandparents' home, both sets of grandparents, they had a very graphic wallpaper in their mudroom, in the laundry room, in the breakfast nook. And so usually it was like fruit or I don't know, something random, but I just love these suns. They just, I don't know, they just make me happy, just like the sunshine. And so I decided to go big or go home in this laundry space by bringing this wallpaper in. None of this was here before. I decided to, once I knew I was going to do a side-by-side washer dryer, I had this butcher block I purchased and then these cabinets, and I had them put in and painted them the same color as the green in the kitchen. Added some artwork, so I have ample space to fold clothes and avoid laundry up here on the surface. And then I have some storage below and then above, and then I can hang things as needed for when I'm drying laundry and so on. So there isn't a lot of art in this space compared to the rest of the house. I have a little art here, but what I decided was to make art out of these plans for the house that I found in the pantry when I moved in. They were left by I guess the contracting team, the builder, and so I thought, you know, why not hold on to them, even though it's a brand new house. It's something that is dated and something that I felt like needed a spot in the home. So I framed them and they're here in the living room, laundry room. My previous career and schooling and experience has definitely played a role in the success of Blessed Little Bungalow. I think a lot of interior designers hate social media and they don't like the marketing aspect, getting in front of the camera, even maybe some of the writing and the press. And because I have schooling in journalism and have worked in marketing, it comes a little more natural to me. I think also it's important to know your brand, like know your niche, and just stay in your own lane. And I think coming into interior design, there was a lot of imposter syndrome because I'm just like, oh, well, I didn't go to school for this, and I'm just kind of figuring things out and designing to my own taste, but there's so much to learn and so much to explore. But because of that, I have been true to who I am and what lane I'm in interior design and decorating and styling. And I also just try to be as authentic and transparent as possible. Like there are so many talented interior designers out here, and I can only be me, right? I can only decorate and style and do things to my own taste and through my own perspective. And I think that attracts a lot of people to follow me and to see the transformations I do in my home and my clients' homes, because I do my best to make things feel approachable. And interior design should not just be, I mean, it is a luxury, but it shouldn't just be a luxury that's available to the few. It should be something that anyone can have in their home. And so you see that $8,000 sofa in someone's house on Instagram. Here's a $3,500 dupe that is just as comfortable, that you can afford, that's probably better for your budget. So I try to think those things through, and I think that a lot of people love that. And so I'm pulling things out of my old file cabinets every day to thrive as a business owner. Now that you've seen the laundry room and mud room, let's see the rest of the rear of the house, which is my primary suite. So this is my primary suite bedroom. One thing that I love and find constant inspiration from are boutique hotels. And so, you know, nothing feels cookie cutter or too plain Jane. A lot of color, a lot of layered patterns and textures. This is not a very large bedroom to be a primary bedroom, but I wanted to make it feel cozy. I wanted it to feel just like a space that I could come into and immediately feel like I want to rest and close my eyes, and it's just a good space. And I think for it to be a quote unquote smaller bedroom, I didn't hesitate painting the walls a dark color because I wanted it to feel moody. I wanted it to feel like a place to truly wind down. But true to my own design style, I also wanted it to have some pops of color. So the ceiling was white and plain, and there was a ceiling fan, and I decided to wallpaper the ceiling after I painted the walls, and then also add a really cool funky chandelier that would add an element of glam to the space, but not be overbearing. And so the room just feels very good, and the bed, king size, takes up most of the space, but really all I do in here is rest. So I just needed enough room for my bed, and everything else, all the other elements were just supplementary. So the bed, I love the shape of it. I love how it just feels like ornate and Victorian, and I love the chartreuse color. I layered the bed with comfortable bedding. As you can see, this lumbar pillow matches the ceiling wallpaper, which is a fun touch. I told you about how my favorite color or shades of colors are purple. So there's a lot of elements of purple, from the juju hat to the linen blackout curtains, some of the artwork that's layered on the floor. This art piece has some gold leaf in it. And so there's just a little touches of glam and gold everywhere. But it's just a beautiful place to relax, and I love my bedroom a lot. I know I said the kitchen was my favorite room, but this might be the favorite. So my bathroom isn't as clean and perfect as the bedroom. However, it's functional. It's a great space. I carried the wallpaper from the ceiling into this wall. So this is a bit of an accent wall for the vanity. The the sink was already here, but I replaced the mirror with just one large one. Before there were two individual ones, and I felt like it made the space feel bigger, and I don't know, just a better touch with this brass mirror. These lights were already here, so I didn't change that, but I did paint the bathroom the same blue as well. And then as you walk in, you can see I have toilet space, walk-in shower, and then this is one of my closets, which I recently painted this. It's called Koi Pond, this beautiful green. And this is where a lot of my casual clothes are. I'm a very casual girl with the baseball caps and Jordan sneakers and t-shirts and hoodies. But it's a pretty place to get ready. And I have another mirror in here. There's probably a mirror in every room of my house now that I think about it, even this closet. The thing I love most about my home is that no matter what's going on in the world, because the world can get very crazy and scary and discouraging and exhausting. I can come home and just feel safe. I feel relaxed, like immediately when I walk in the door, the weight is lifted off of my shoulders. I feel at peace. I feel like it is my own little sanctuary in Atlanta, Georgia, and in the world. I love how my home makes other people feel too. They walk in and they're just they're surprised, but they're also like, I guess there's just a lot of eye candy and the colors like make people happy, but doesn't overwhelm them. And so I love to host. I love to invite people over and have them stay with me. The other thing I love about my home is that it's not overwhelming in color and things and furniture, but it's also not very overwhelming in size. Like, I named my business Blessed Little Bungalow because I love bungalows. I love how small they are, but still have a lot of character. And so this house is probably only about 1,800 square feet max. With the loft, I think downstairs is just about 1,400 or 1,500, and it's just enough. It feels good. It feels comfortable. It's intimate, but there's still enough space for all the things I need to do in my home, people that visit and stay over. It just feels good, and that's the most important thing to me for my clients and for myself. Like, how does this space make you feel? Does it give you an emotional reaction? Do you feel more relaxed? Do you feel better about yourself? Does it make you smile? And so that is definitely how my home makes me feel. As a small business owner, I do work from home a great deal. So let's take a look at my home office. So my brother-in-law calls this the Pepto-Bismol room because it's like that Pepto-Bismol pink. And he walked in and he was just like, okay, wow, you took it there. But I love the color. I think it's very inspiring. Pink is one of my favorite colors. But there's no lack of anything to look at in here. So it's the smallest of all the bedrooms in the house. So I chose it for my home office. It also gets a lot of natural light in here. So it's a great place to actually work and feel inspired. I have a lot of artwork here on this wall around the closet. And then I put these shelves in to house everything I need for my business. So I've got paint samples, wallpaper, catalogs, tile, things along the bottom here. I've got more books, a lot of books from my previous careers, but also several design books that provide inspiration. My trademark for my business and logo, some of my accomplishments over here, magazines I've been in, and features I've gotten in the press. And then for functional purposes over here, I also have a lot of client post-its to kind of keep me organized and knowing what projects I have coming up, and things to keep me organized, along with different samples. So yeah, I come in here and I get inspired. Everything from looking at different rugs and matching them up to different paint colors. It's a place where I work and create. Right outside of my home office are the guest bedroom and bathroom. In the bathroom, the purple tour continues. So I have like this fun plumish mauve lavender on the walls. One thing I love to do, because sometimes shower curtains just aren't as cute as regular curtains. So I have this curtain, and then I added a liner behind it, and then hung the curtain rod from the ceiling. So it just makes the small bathroom feel a little larger. And then adding some artwork, fresh flowers, and more gold elements like this mirror and even this bath tray. It just makes it feel more warm and at home. This is my guest bedroom, aka the Crayola box of the house. I just wanted to go wild with the color in here. The first thing I did, because all of the walls were beige, was add this cool textured accent wall. I love the color teal. It's one of my favorite colors too. So we painted that, and then this bed is actually from my previous, I had a apartment in San Francisco. I love the bed, I love the channeling of it, and so I wanted to keep it in here because it's still neutral and low profile, but it looks great against this wall. Then we added some color and geometric shapes with this area rug. I have a lot of artwork throughout the house. So here's another gallery wall over this table. So like, for example, if I have a friend that comes over, stays for a week and they need to work from home too, they can just pull out this ottoman and use this as a makeshift desk. They also have a little seating area over here. This lounge chair is super comfortable. So they have their own little living space, wardrobe areas to get ready and hang out. And it's just a place full of color and inspiration. And I think that when my guests come to visit, they are surprised but excited by the space. And again, that it has that boutique hotel feel that just feels comfortable and livable. The word home means love. It's a space that you know you are guaranteed to feel loved, you're guaranteed to feel safe, and I couldn't feel more comfortable in any place than the home that I've created here. I can go back to the home that I grew up in, even my grandparents' home that lived next door to me. And when you walk in, even if the contents of the home aren't even there, there's an immediate reaction that you have, and so just that feeling of safety and love and purpose and belonging, your home should make you feel that way, and that's what home means to me.
This is really cheesy, but my favorite thing about the house isn't actually the house itself. It's that I live a block from my aunt, who is basically like my second mom, super close with her my whole life, and I just love that I can be so close to her.
That's really sweet.
I know, I'm like tearing up. I don't know why. I never thought about that. Okay, compose yourself.
You're watching Homeworthy, where we believe every home has a story. Like and subscribe for more.
Hi, I'm Stephy, and welcome to my home.
And who's this?
This is Claude. She's always guarding the territory. Hi, my name's Stephy, and I am an Instagrammer, and I run the account at Stephy, where I share lifestyle and fashion and home renovation, and we're in my home in Long Beach, New York. So when I first bought it, I actually loved it exactly as is. It just wasn't super functional. It was just really broken up. It was built in the 50s, so it had a lot of individual rooms with awkward sizing. The living room was in the same spot. The kitchen was all the way in the back of the house, which was super awkward when we had guests. We would have to carry our dishes all the way down the hall. And then there was a really cute dining room, but it connected to a laundry room, so it was really strange, but I loved it for being strange. I didn't love not having a dishwasher with the 1-year-old. That part really stunk. But we lived in it for a year and a half with all of its original layout before we finally jumped into renovating it. So this is our entryway. It's been a little bit interesting figuring out how I wanted to style it, because there used to be a wall and now it's open, but there's not that much space between the living room and where you walk in. Originally I had a bench behind the couch, but I felt like walking into a bench was kind of awkward. So I ended up landing on this nice little table where we like keep our keys. I have a little basket for like the kids stuff, like hats and scarves and that kind of thing. And then the wall itself always felt like slightly too white and plain for me. So finally, after a year of going back and forth on wallpaper, I landed on this peel and stick, which makes the wall feel complete. I would always wake up and look in this corner and be like, what can I do there to make it feel like I don't need to touch it ever again? Because I feel like I'm always tinkering with this area. My husband's like, what are you gonna order now? Like, it looks great. I'm like, it's not done though. Like, it needs something else. And I feel like adding the peel and stick wallpaper actually made me be like, it's done. Like, I can stop focusing on it now. This space has been kind of interesting to design because we have so many windows and not that much wall space. In decorating, that was like the biggest challenge. We used to have a smaller TV that was like sitting on a media stand right in this corner, kind of awkwardly. It was what we had at our previous apartment, didn't really think much of it. But then this year we were at home so much and I started to really rethink our living room. Also, my dad is 6'4" and he used to come and sit on our last couch and complain that it was like the most uncomfortable couch he's ever sat on. So it like got in my head and I'm like, I need to redesign this space. So my first step was finding this incredible article couch that is so comfortable. It's like 1,000 times more comfortable than our previous couch. And I love the color. I pretty much got the exact same color couch that we originally had. And I just love it. It's like now where we hang out all the time. The table I actually purchased with my 1-year-old in mind because he was starting to pull up on our last table and it was really tippy and I was just getting heart attacks every day. So I'm like, I really need a table that's like kid friendly. And then with this space, I always wanted a fireplace. We would rent places like Airbnbs upstate and I would come home and be like, oh, I really wish we had like a centerpiece to our living room that just grounds the room. And then I had an epiphany. I couldn't sleep one night postpartum, and my baby was maybe like 3 months old at that point, and I was like, I want to put like a fall mantle in our living room. I'd seen them all over Pinterest and it just never clicked that I could actually make that happen in my own space. We love it now because it opened up a lot of space. So it does feel like more open. I like that I can like design different like tchotchkes on here around the holidays. And then we got a frame TV, which is just like a sneaky, it's like you don't think it's a TV and it is. I just can't believe that a TV could be that cute because they're usually like what you kind of want to hide in a corner, but this is like really the centerpiece of our room. I'm still like not certain if I should leave it red or paint it white. So if you guys have any input, because I go back and forth. Some days I'm like, oh, I don't like the red, and others I'm like, oh, I love it. It's like a nice contrast. But then this was from Etsy. There's an artist who cuts all the wood up and glues it all on. So it kind of looks like it's like receding into the wall, but it's not. Obviously up close, I feel like it doesn't look that way, but from far away it does. So this is where we eat all of our meals. I am always thankful for it just because we walked down a long hallway with plates for so long since our kitchen was so far away. It's so nice having the kitchen right next to the dining room. And then this corner was like, there was always like a really awkward record player like right in the corner. And finally, again, I tackled it when I was at home for a year. And I found this beautiful vintage piece again on Facebook Marketplace. Husband ran out and got it late at night. It was like a pea soup green kind of. And I ended up refinishing it and painting it white. And I love it. It adds some like vintage charm into the space. I see this house as my forever home just because it's in the perfect location for us to raise our kids. So I didn't want to go super bold on the style of the kitchen. I love like the trend where the bottom cabinets are black or a color, but I just didn't think that that would be something I would want to live with forever. So I ended up doing like a very white mid-century modern mixed with like a kind of luxe feeling kitchen. We picked out this slab. We went in and we like saw a bunch of slabs, and my husband and I picked it out together. And I love the waterfall Peninsula Island. It's like the first thing you see when you walk in. And then we also loved having like a walnut colored wood open shelf, and I have so much fun swapping out the decor on the shelf like month to month. I'll be like, oh, I feel like it needs to be a little bit yellow this month. Like I'll always change it. And then we knew we wanted a farmhouse sink because I just saw them and loved them always. And then I picked this gold handle and gold hardware to kind of give it like a more luxe feeling. And then the window above the sink is something else I always dreamed of having, like a window that you could open up on like a nice spring day like today and just like breathe in fresh air. The other thing with the kitchen that I guess is kind of interesting is when we first did the kitchen, when we first started like renovating it, we had a door right here that we closed up, and we had no plans to add skylights. And I walked in to like check on the job with my aunt, who I mentioned earlier, and a tear fell down because I was like, it's so dark in here, and like we need to figure something out on the spot because we can't have a dark kitchen. Like that defeats the purpose of renovating. So on the spot, we decided to add in this door over here and to add 2 skylights. It ended up holding up our job about 5 weeks because we had to order the skylights, they had to cut them in. It was like a whole new level that we didn't plan for, but to this day, I'm like, it's so worth those 5 weeks. Like I would do it over and over again because these just bring so much nice natural light into the kitchen. Here we are in my bedroom, and this is a room that we redesigned completely when we renovated because we really wanted to have a few things. We wanted to have a bigger space to have our bed come this way in between the 2 windows, which is kind of like what we envisioned the room was supposed to be like. And then we really wanted 2 separate closets.
I feel like you've brought the outdoors inside.
In here, it's not always like so green. Like I said, I love to like swap the decor out all the time. It's actually been like this for a while.
So I have to ask, is the tattoo on the arm the dog in the bed?
It is. And funny enough, my husband has it too. He's got it on his heart. So now I'm gonna take you into the bathroom, which actually used to be our kitchen. Da-da-da! It's crazy. It's been like a year and a half, so I almost can't imagine it anymore, but I kind of can because we had like, the sink was right here, and then this was like the counter space, and I actually spent a lot of time in the kitchen before we before we renovated the bathroom. I DIY'd that kitchen and I painted the cabinets white, so I spent so much time just like making that kitchen feel really me. So I sometimes will still get like flashbacks of being in it, and like my 1-year-old's high chair was right here, and I would like feed him dinner, and it's just so wild how you could take a space and use it in like a completely different way. But the way it is right now really feels like a spa. So I come in every night, I take a bath. It's just so nice. So now I'm gonna take you to my closet, which is my favorite place in the house and where I spend the most time. It's like everything I've always dreamed of as a little girl. It is just so nice. The best thing about it is I have a door, so you know, as a mom, sometimes you need to like sneak a Reese's bar without your kids seeing, or like just take a moment and get dressed and have like some sanity and quiet. So this is like where I do that. I hide my yoga mat behind here, and it's like the perfect length to fit in my closet and do a workout. So I do that a lot of days of the week. The first thing that I love and I admire every day is the shoe wall. I just love being able to see all my shoes in one place. I've lived in so many places where I had to my shoes were in a shoe rack underneath my clothes, and you gotta push the dresses up to see your shoes. That is just terrible. So it's just, I'm always so thankful to have them just laid out where I could just grab them. I also, this is a really small detail that you might not notice, but the closet company did gold hang bars, and I feel that little touch makes such a big difference. The fact that the gold matches the gold. And then we ended up doing glassing here, and I love that it's just a solid glassed in door for my nicer bags. And the mirror backsplash is another one that we went back and forth on, and then ultimately we were that just makes it so nice to put your jewelry on and have a mirror. I wouldn't say it's my favorite piece, but the piece that holds the most sentimental value is this dress. I would never get rid of it. It's from Forever 21, but when I was pregnant with my youngest, my son Charlie, I would take bump pictures every week in it. So it's super sentimental to me. This is the area where I film a lot of videos for my Instagram and for TikTok now, I guess. And I never felt like this wall was complete, and I had been seeing all these board and batten tutorials all over the internet. I guess it's a thing right now. And I was I can do it. I think I can do it. And I did it, all by myself. It was crazy. I was mind blown, and it's not perfect, but it looks good enough for me, I think, for my first try. I really felt the wall needed some dimension, and I also, I love clothes, so I wanted to have them displayed in my little region where I do my makeup and I look at my outfit, and I'm I just want to be able to have something here that's it's not all hidden in my closet. Here in Long Beach, New York, there was a huge Hurricane Sandy a few years back, and it's most houses after the hurricane lifted, so they're these giant 3-story homes that are also safer in case of a hurricane or anything. But I didn't want to do that to this home. I loved the quaint feel you get when you just walk up to the door. It's a red brick house. And you walk in and you can just tell that there's pieces of it that still are reminiscent of the 50s. And even though everyone recommended that we lift the house, I was super adamant to not do that. I feel the house still has that quaint charm that I fell in love with when I first saw it.
Hey Homeworthy, I'm Karen. Welcome to our home in Atlanta. Come on in, I want to show you around.
You're watching Homeworthy, where we believe every home has a story. Like and subscribe for more.
Hi, I'm Karen Nooney, and you are in my house in Atlanta, Georgia. I started out in the world as a graphic designer. That's what I was trained in, what I went to college for. And so I love design, but it wasn't necessarily interiors that I had a passion for. But I like balance and symmetry and all of those things, and that was all in my blood. And so about 23 years ago, I was looking for a job, and I knew about Ballard Designs. It's an Atlanta company, and I'm from Atlanta. And they were looking for an art director, and that was just perfectly up my alley. And I loved the aesthetic of the brand, and I knew it well. And so I was excited to apply and be in a company that not only I was good at what I did, but I loved the product around me too. I find that really makes my day so fulfilling every day for the last 22 years. And so I went to Ballard and worked there, started as art director, and just really had a lot of curiosity about the way the business ran, and behind the scenes and the machinations of the marketing department and the circulation department and the merchandising department. And so over the years, I was really rewarded with growth through the company. And about 2 years ago, I became president of Ballard. So it's been a really fun journey. And like I said, there's nothing better than going to work every day and just loving all the stuff around you. plus the people around you. So I can't think really honestly of a better place to work. Welcome to our home. This is the foyer of our little 1920s bungalow, which really isn't much of a foyer. It leads right into our living room, but we try to space it off a little bit and keep it segregated with this big rug. So it was important to me to have lots of seating in here so that we can all sit around with all of our friends and have plenty of room for drinks and cocktails and everybody's comfortable. And I'm always really careful that there's a table real close for your drink. And I really don't want people to be worried about coasters and all of that. So I try to keep surfaces as family friendly as possible, like this sofa. Okay, so don't freak out. I've got two boys, they're pigs, like all boys are. And they bring all their friends over and they put their, sneakers up on here. But this is Umbrella fabric and it has really been amazing. I bet this thing is 5 years old, and anytime anything happens to it recently, a big old cup of coffee was spilled on it. Wasn't me. Just unzip that, threw it in the wash, put it back on, and it looks brand new. So don't be afraid of white, but I would say make sure you're getting some kind of easy care or high performance fabric if you're gonna go that way. So other things in this room that I love, let's talk about these chairs over here. Check these out. So this is a weird little nook. A lot of houses that are old have like these little weird nooks and you don't know what to do with them. And this is probably the third iteration of what I've done over here. I started with a big bookcase and then I did a console with art. And finally I landed on a little bit more seating because that's what I wanted. And I lucked out because I found these very small, petite little chairs at a market in the south of France. And I don't speak French. So when we were negotiating, I thought that they kept saying that they were 2,000 euro. And there was no upholstery, y'all. It was just kind of the frame and nothing. And I was like, I can't do it. I can't, $2,000. And then someone I was with was like, I think they're saying 200 euro, not 2,000 euro. So I was like, I'll take them. So these are a favorite find of mine. I brought them back and upholstered them in this beautiful linen by Suzanne Kassler that we do at Ballard. So, but again, look, a little table, you gotta have a little something for the drinks. And you'll notice, I mentioned I've been at Ballard for 100 years, but it's important to me that my house doesn't feel like I just picked it out of the showroom and brought it into the house. And so all over the house are little pieces of personality or things I've bought back from trips or things that are vintage, like this little table, that add just another level of fun to the room. You really just don't want everything to look brand new or that like it's from one spot. So I like to liven it up with just random things I find here and there all over the world. My whole house is pretty neutral. I used to think it was gray, but then I really started looking around and I realized it's really more taupe. So there's a lot of taupe in the house and whites and things like that. But over the years, I've gotten a little less afraid of color. So some of the bedrooms, as my children have moved out, have more color. One has a whole blush moment. The other is sort of navies and reds. And I'm really enjoying that. It sort of also is reflective in my wardrobe I found over the years. My wardrobe has been very neutral. But over the past several years, I've just had much more of an appetite for color. It's really making me happy. And so you'll see it layered in little bits around the house. Oh, wait till we get to the basement, and then you'll see a whole lot of color. So this is a 1920s bungalow in a neighborhood that's full of similar bungalow style houses in a little historic part of Atlanta called Virginia Highlands. And we moved here about 18 years ago, mostly because it's about a block away from this great intersection that has lots of restaurants and bars, and we just really wanted to have a walkable lifestyle in Atlanta. So most weekends we don't even get in our cars. We just walk around the neighborhood and enjoy what it has to offer. This house has really served our family so well over the years. We moved into it when we had small children and not a ton of money to renovate, and so we lived in it as it was for many years. And then as time went on and our needs changed and the children grew and we sort of saw the potential the house had, we did a couple different renovations, added a pool in the backyard, and really made it a family-friendly house that welcomed everybody in the neighborhood, but also really worked well for entertaining. We love to have people over. We love to cook. I can't imagine really a weekend without having someone drop in or a dinner party or grilling out in the back. It's really just a hub of entertainment for us, and it's worked so well for that. To me, it's such a welcoming and warm space. I want it to feel inspirational, but I definitely don't want it to ever feel intimidating or unwelcoming. I want it to be a place where you feel comfortable putting your feet up and having a beer and hanging out and chatting with your friends. So let's check out the sunroom. So this room has had so many iterations. I can't even tell you. When we first moved in, this was our family room. We didn't have any other rooms. It was the living room and this room. And so this is where we all four of us sat and watched TV, every night. And then as the house sort of morphed with us over the years and we added another family room, this became the kids' video game room. And so they were in here, every night playing video games till 2 a.m, as teenage boys do. And then during COVID, I kicked them out and made this my home office and made them take the video games up to their bedrooms because it's such a beautifully lit room. I wanted to take advantage of the sunlight, and really, if I was going to be here working all day, I really feel like having windows around you makes you feel better while you're working. So this became my office and still functions as my office now. I probably work from home 3 days a week, and so I just kind of slide up right here to this console and bring in a dining room chair and work right there, and it works perfectly for me. And then take the laptop down and take it into the office when I'm not working, and it's, it functions as another little TV room for us. And beautiful light, like I said. I've got hidden little, let me show you this. So I was interviewing an interior designer one time. We were talking about Roman shades. And I told you I love to copy good ideas. Like, I don't have any of my own, I just take them from everyone else. So this designer was saying, look, there's just no way to make Roman shades that aren't gonna break. No matter how expensive you get or how inexpensive you get, the up and down of that Roman shade will just break. So what he told me to do was do a faux Roman shade and then do little blinds behind. So I did. Look, I got little, like $20 blinds that go behind. So if you're in here in the day and you wanna watch TV, you just pull those down, and then they just go up easy peasy like that. So practical, I love it. So I have a mix of faux plants and real plants in the house. I like to grow flowers outside. I'm not great at it, but I like to try. So I have a smattering of those around the house. But we travel a lot, and so house plants don't always tend to live. And so I am not afraid of a beautiful faux plant. So I've got one in here from Ballard that it looks so real. People always comment on it. I've got some silk hydrangea here that I just love them with the room because of the palette. And then over here, I've got some eucalyptus that are fake. And to me, like, you can't tell really eucalyptus from fake eucalyptus. And they look great year round. Sometimes I put that as a centerpiece. Sometimes I stick it in the corner to fill a hole. Sometimes it goes on the mantle. You can just drag it around and use it anywhere. So I am not at all afraid of faux greenery. I think it's a smart choice. I sit around lots of spaces in the house a lot. So I will go and sit in a nook and see how it feels and how is the lighting and is there a spot for my drink or where am I going to put my feet up, or is the person who's going to sit next to me going to be close enough to me? And I adjust. And it's still going on today, but I make sure too that the things that people sit on are durable. I don't want to be nervous, and I don't want them to be nervous about the fabric or finishes or whatever. I make sure that it's very family friendly in the construction of the stuff, but also sort of the layout of everything needs to feel comfortable and be welcoming. So let's head to the dining room. Like I mentioned, we love to entertain, and to me, the best dining experience is around a round table because everyone is equal around a round table. No one can really dominate the conversation. Everyone can hear a little bit better. This table seats 6. I literally had to count my own chairs. It seats 6, but I have this really cool extender that folds out and goes on it, and it expands the seating to 12. So I can seat 12 people in here, which is wonderful for the holidays. And I had a big tablecloth made for it that's a big zebra print, so it's kind of a fun, exciting vibe. And I just love it. The other thing I want to show you in here is what I did with these chairs because, like I said, family friendly. So I had them upholstered with a pleather. So I'm telling you, you cannot destroy these things. I had just a cream fabric for years, and I was like, that's not wearing so well. So when I had them redone, I decided to just go full on family friendly with pleather, which I think is Pretty smart, if you ask me. The other thing I want to point out in the dining room is that I have a lot of surfaces that can easily change into a bar or a buffet. So, you know, you move these three things and you've got, maybe you want to put all of your desserts here that you can easily access while you're eating your dinner. Or maybe this is where all the drinks go. Often the table gets so full with the food, there's not room. Or over here, you know, same thing. Maybe it could be stunning to set this up as a bar, self-serve bar, so when people come over, they can do their own drinks while you're doing other things. You don't have to wait on everyone hand and foot all the time. Oh, look at this, you guys. This is pretty cool. You might not be able to see it, but this is my great-great-grandparents' wedding certificate that I had framed from Germany. So I just think it's so beautiful, and I love mixing things like that into the house, you know, things that, you know, it's not art, but to me it's so sentimental and it's so beautiful and it adds such a nice layer to the room. And I like that it's stuck behind this thing. I think it kind of adds an interesting little moment. I love animal print. I wear it all the time. There's probably some in every room of my house, and I have heard the rule that you're only supposed to have one animal print in a room, but I actively defy that. So the rug in this room has a leopard border and a leopard, I'm looking a leopard center. So I have these pillows that I love. I got these at Ballard years ago, but I've been in love with them for years. And they're, you know, they're really bold, but to me, honestly, in my mind, animal prints function as a neutral. I think they look amazing with a stripe, with a plaid. I mean, I can't really think of anything I wouldn't put an animal print with. It's sort of a problem. This gentleman gets a lot of commentary. People ask me all the time, oh my gosh, where did you get that? And to me, this is one of those things you bring into a house that's gonna add some personality, right? I found it in a vintage store. He has 4 heads or faces, maybe more. He's got a lot of noses, but it's just cool, right? It's just something that you're not going to be able to find when you go out shopping on, you know, in the mall or online. You know, I really think it's important to nab those little things that speak to you when you're out and about and you're like, oh man, I love that. That's so cool. I haven't seen anything like that. Grab it, take it home, find a special spot for it. Yeah, he can't get enough attention. So this is a fun little piece, and I'll talk about these things. So I find it really interesting over time when you are drawn to things, how collections sort of come together. So I bought these 2 things, you know, like 5 years ago on some trip to LA. And then I found this thing like 3 years ago at a market in France. And then someone gave me these for Christmas 2 years ago. And somehow, you know, it all just comes together when you find things you love. And you know, I always try to cast a fresh eye around the house and see what I've got and realize, oh, look, those 3 things would really look fabulous together. If they weren't living together in a collection like this, I don't think they'd have the same kind of impact that they do when they're all like that together, grouped. And so, I encourage everyone to just, and myself, to keep an eye out for what you're drawn to and what you already have and what might really work well together with what you already own. So this, I really like pieces that function as well as look good, right? So this fits this space perfectly, but the important thing to me is that it has lots of storage. So I have a pressure cooker. If any of you have a pressure cooker, you know that they're ginormous. And so this thing fits my pressure cooker perfectly, and it lives in there. And then all the other space I use for booze and mixers. And so when we're setting up that DIY bar and people come over, it's all easily accessible right in here. I pull it out, set up a beautiful bar. And then the bottom shelves hold oversized platters and an extra set of flatware that I have. So form and function all together. Has to work. So here we are in the kitchen, which, you know, I think for most people is the heart of the home. When we moved in, this was much different. It had an octagonal island right here, very, very weird. And so, but you know, like I said, we lived with it for many years while we figured out what was the best way to function in the space. Not just how it was gonna look, but how was it gonna function for us as a family. And so we ended up changing this into a family room and kitchen. This room back here used to be my son's bedroom. But we didn't have a way to get to the backyard. And we have a pool in the backyard. And so literally you had to walk down our driveway out the front door, down the driveway, around back to get to the pool. And so I labored for years, I'm not kidding, over what's the best way to get to the backyard, because I didn't really want to take his bedroom. Could we go out the side of the kitchen? Could we, there aren't many options. And so finally we were like, we're going to have to do it. So we ended up incorporating his room into the kitchen and made a keeping room and a kitchen. And it really functions beautifully because, everyone sits here, there are bar stools, we work, we chat, but you're not super into the mess of the kitchen. And then it's also super convenient to the dining room, so it's nice. Let me show you the things that I sort of saved on and the things that I splurged on. So if you look over here, this is a long run of cabinetry that holds all of our dishes, food, everything, is because we have no upper cabinets on the upper side of the kitchen, just on this side. All of the cabinetry in the kitchen is actually Ikea cabinetry. And so definitely where I saved, I bought the wood cabinetry and then I had it all painted professionally. And so it really has functioned well. I feel like it's been more than 10 years that I've had it, 15 years, and it's been lovely. But then I splurged on this, I think, beautiful tile that to me, I still love it. I love the gray and white, as you can tell. It's a little problem. And then my countertops, back to being family friendly. Like, I just don't think I could live with a marble countertop because it's too alive for me. I'd be constantly wiping up the lemon juice and the marinara and the red wine. And so instead, we got the quartz Caesar stone countertops, and I have been so pleased. They, to me, still look brand new and function so well and clean up super easy. So great choice as far as I'm concerned. We did put in this butcher block between the sink and the stove, and we actually use it as a butcher block. We oil it and use it as I don't put raw meat on it, but veggies and things like that, we chop right on here. It's definitely worn with age, and I just love that. It's a kitchen that's used and loved, and it's got memories all over it, and I just think that's beautiful. Oh, look, a live plant. I have one or two in the house. So this is where we spend a whole lot of our time. This is what is now our family room. And, this is the kids' favorite chair. And when I talked about that zebra tablecloth, it's the same exact fabric. So when I fall in love with something, I guess I can't get enough of it. Again, a sunbrella fabric, just like that white sofa in the living room, which I think is great for the tablecloth as well, because it's super durable. It's not going to stain. If you're spending all that money to have a tablecloth made, you want to make sure it's going to last you a lot of years. And then, the other thing about it is, when you have teenagers sitting here eating pizza, same kind of thing. You wipe it off and it's clean. And the other thing is it doesn't fade in the sun. So this room gets a lot of sun, and so the pattern doesn't fade, and just continues to look great after all these years. I love a swivel chair too, because you can talk, you can watch TV. It's perfect, right? I just love it, and it's super comfy. So this is another morning spot for me. Oh, let's talk about this mirrored wall. So like I said, I live in Atlanta, in the city, and so I have a neighbor probably 15 feet from me, 20 feet, and this used to be, there was a window here, but when we were doing the room, I knew that I didn't want to be looking out that window at my neighbor all the time. But it was important that the room still felt light, and I wasn't sure how light I could keep it without having a window here. So I decided I would put these antique mirrors in to kind of reflect the light around the room, as well as just make it feel bigger and more open. And I've been really pleased with it, and people are like stunned. They're like, oh my gosh, that's so amazing. But it was very simple to do, simple to execute, and I really feel like we got a lot of bang for the buck for that idea. Now, you'll notice like these windows that face out back, I don't have any drapery back here. I felt like it would be too much in the room, just crowd us in a little too much. I wanted it to feel really open to the backyard and to the activities that were going on out there. So I kept these intentionally bare for the room. So I want to take you down to the basement, one of my favorite spots in the house. My husband wanted to put in an Irish pub, but I intervened, and we got something a little more special down there. Come on. On the way to the basement, we have to pass through this little hallway, which I have intentionally shoved full of stuff. So Let's talk about it, right? This might be the first bit of color you've seen in the house. This was a piece of art given to me by Mike Devine, who is a local photographer and artist. And every year at Christmas, if you're really nice to him, he'll give you a piece of art. So I framed this myself. And I just love this little pop of orange. So I partnered it with this, which is sort of it's a knockoff of a harvest basket that people put over their backs when they gather grapes or something in the south of France. But then I put, look, y'all, this is huge, right? I bought this, I fell in love with it, and literally couldn't find a place in my house it would fit except here. And I love the idea of putting something so incredibly oversized in such a small space. It's very unexpected, but it brings a lot of drama to what otherwise would be just a moment that you walk by. So I've kind of put a lot of things in here, but I think the monotony of color, except for the orange, really kind of ties it all together and makes it sort of a seamless entrance into the house where you kind of get it sort of a hint of the expectation of what you're going to see everywhere else. So let's go. There's lots of art on the walls on the way down, and I intentionally painted this stairwell really dark because I wanted everyone to feel like they were entering another moment. I didn't want it to feel at all like you were staying where you were. We were going somewhere new. Come on. So this is not an Irish pub, as you can well guess. When my husband's like, I really want to build an Irish pub in the basement, let me tell you what, it was a cement, dirt basement, and I did not see his vision and didn't appreciate it either. But then I got my head around it and I was like, you know what, that could be really cool to have something down there and really make it a place to lounge and hang and party by the pool. And so we dug out a bunch of dirt and made this little basement. It's kind of weird, but it's kind of awesome. I've got this big giant bar that houses anything you can possibly imagine. But the best part about, I think, the whole space is the kegerator, which not only has beer for the beer drinkers, but also has a rosé on tap. Let's have a glass. Left for lager, right for rosé. Cheers. So we actually call this bar Frenchies on the Waterfront. It's named after our dead French bulldog, Mr. French, who still lives with us in our hearts. And it's on the waterfront because it's by the pool. So welcome to Frenchies on the Waterfront. So you'll definitely notice that there's a totally different color palette down here. And since it's a basement and the ceilings are pretty low, like quite a few places down here I can touch the ceiling, and there's lots of ups and downs with ductwork. And so I decided I'm just going to paint the whole entire thing, every surface, this sort of peacocky blue, a shiny peacocky blue. I didn't lacquer it, I didn't go to that expense, but just a glossy blue that's everywhere. And you can see like lots of corners and edges and things, but it pulls the whole thing together to me and makes it feel very intimate. And in the summer it's cool, in the winter it feels very welcoming. It really just works and I love it. And you can also see a lot of other color that I put in the space. I really stuck with jewel tones and darker colors, lots of oranges and goldenrods and purples. They don't necessarily even go together, but in my mind, they were all of the sort of the same value, and I thought that they would work together, and it really all came together beautifully. You've probably noticed as we walked around that I've got a lot of art collections on the wall, and I love to group things together that are sentimental, but sometimes when you're starting a gallery wall like this, you don't have everything you need, but you know you want to do something, right? And so I started this wall with this poster, which is a vintage poster I got from my husband for his birthday because he's from New York. And it's a KLM poster, which is my initials, so I thought it was kind of cute. And it was the colors of the basement, even better. So I started with that, and then the rest of everything that I had hanging here in these spots was all art that I'd got at Ikea. But it was like the sizes and shapes that I wanted. And then over the years, what I've done is remove the piece of Ikea art and replace it with, like, for instance, this is something that I got in New Orleans where my son is in college on a weekend visit. But this, and this are still Ikea pieces that I have yet to replace. But, you know, as time goes on and I find the right things that fit there, I just pull those down and put something new up. So that's a great tip when you are building a gallery wall. It doesn't have to all start with something precious or everything have to be perfect. It can change over time as you find the things that you fall in love with. Let's look over here at the lounge area, which we spend a lot of time lounging down here. So I fell in love with a hotel in London called the Dean Street Townhouse. And it had a lot of this sort of navy peacock blue and also golden velvet and beautiful brown leathers. And I was like, I've got to have that. I got to figure out how to get that into my life. And so when we started building this space mentally, I was like, oh, a velvet banquette. And you know, we have people in here in wet bathing suits all the time, and we eat down here all the time, have dinner parties down here, and it looks great. And this isn't a performance velvet or anything, it's just a velvet, and it's really performed well. And I've decided, you know, just to let it all go mentally. It's okay. Like, what I really want is people to be comfortable and to live in the space and not worry about it. So the first time someone sat down in the red bathing suit, I was like, and then I was like, it's fine. You know, this home is here for us to live in, and that's what we're gonna do. We're gonna live in it and love it. So here's our beautiful velvet banquettes with some silk velvet pillows that bring out the same colors of the walls. A fun little llama from Anthropology brings it all together. And really, it's just a wonderful space. And I've got friends that have little kids who love to come and swim at the pool too. And they love this little spot right here. Look at these little vintage chairs I picked up. And again, trying to mix in something vintage with something new so it doesn't all feel like you picked it up at the same spot on the same day. But I loved the color. I thought the jewel tone of the purple was beautiful. It wasn't something I'd planned for, but when I saw it, I was like, you know what, that's gonna work down there. And the kids love sitting at this little low table. They pull this little stool out. Again, y'all, some more animal print. I can't resist. I told you, it's in every single room. But they sit here and they feast like they're kings and queens, thinking that this was made specifically for them, which I just love. Here is the most prized possession of my children in the home. If the home were to burn down, I think they would come and grab the PBR sign, which we actually got from a local bar restaurant here called Cow Tippers when it was closing for good. It was a sort of an establishment in town. So when it closed, we had some inside scoop and we were able to scoop this up and bring it home, and they just love it. And I just sort of think it sets the tone for the whole space as a place that you're here to have fun, relax, and have a good time and hang out with your friends with the king of beers. No, it's not the king of beers. It's the blue ribbon. You know what? I'm not a spokesperson for PBR. I feel like a lot of times people waste money on impulse purchases, and they'll see something that's on clearance or for sale. I do the same. I'm just as guilty. But if I know that, you know, I need a console here, or I'm going to need this size chair there, I can keep my eyes open and keep my wallet ready. But the other thing I think is important is to decorate the spaces you use the most. A lot of interior designers that I've spoken to in the past and worked with always say, oh, do your master suite, do your master bedroom, you know, you're there a lot and treat yourself and it's where you are at night. But for me, what I wanted was spaces where people were all the time. So the dining room, the kitchen family room, the living room where people sit, those are spaces that I needed to have at least functional pieces in right away. And the decorating, the layering, all of that can come, you know, over time. To me, it has to evolve over time, or else it looks like you went into a store and bought it all and, you know, maxed out your credit card and filled your house up. That is not what I want my home to feel like. I really want it to grow and be an expression of who we are as the family that lives in the house. So it takes time, but I would say start with the space that you are in the most. All right, so when we renovated the kitchen and took away my son's bedroom, we had to go up and add another bedroom and a guest room. So let's go up and check out that guest room that we made. tell you about this little lady. So there's an artist, her name is Sally King Benedict. I love her. She's a local Atlanta lady. And I've been wanting a piece of her art for a very long time, but it is not inexpensive. And so instead she does these beautiful little silk scarves for a couple $100. And I was like, you know what? I'm just gonna do that. I got that and I floated it in this acrylic frame and I got the whole same effect, a beautiful Sally King Benedict for a little less money. I'm on budget all the time. But let me just point out, this is one of the few faces you're gonna see in my house. I really don't like having family photos around. People think I'm like the meanest mom ever, but let me just say, I remember what my family looks like. I don't need them. I don't need them staring at me all the time, so you won't see any family photos around my house. It's just sort of a personal preference. So welcome to the guest suite. It's actually bigger than the master that we sleep in, but we decided that we wanted to stay on the main level so we could get out to the deck very easy, and this is reserved now for guests. And Bunny Williams taught me many years ago that in a guest room, you need to get into that bed, you need to sleep in that bed, you need to understand how it feels to be a guest in that room and accommodate accordingly. So I've slept in here many times to make sure that it's a comfortable bed, which it is. I get compliments all the time. The other thing Bunny taught me is buy some magazines for your guests, put them by the bedside table. She likes People, she really likes People magazine, but I have some home decor magazines that I like to tuck in here for folks to read while they're falling asleep at night. I even have a little speaker by the bed that you can Bluetooth into. And then across the room, I've got a coffee bar all set up. I'll show you, come on over here. So I put a little coffee bar in the room because I personally cannot function in the morning without my first cup of coffee. And what guest wants to go downstairs in their jammies and find the host and get a cup of coffee? It's all right in here. I've got a coffee machine, a tea kettle, there's coffee bags and pods, of course coffee cups. I also outfit it with waters and wine when I have guests coming. So it's all inclusive and ready to go, but closes up beautifully as a little accent piece. The other thing that I made sure that we had in here were reading lights. So I've got these gooseneck lights that each person can control on their own so they can read without waking up the other person, which I think is very important. And then I installed, which I thought was a fun idea, a little picture light. This is really designed to go over art, but I thought it was a pretty little accent to put over the bed and just takes no room and adds a little ambiance to the room. And you can see that I had these bedside tables built in because I wanted to take the space for the room. I didn't want the wall to start here and lose a couple feet. I thought, why not just build it into the niche into the wall as we renovated, and so it really worked out beautifully. And then there's a lot of controversy over accent walls with wallpaper, but I did it, y'all. I did an accent wall with wallpaper and did just this one wall and inside the niches and behind the bed headboard. And I really think it turned out beautifully. I think it kind of brings the palette of the whole space together, but adds a little pattern so it's not super boring in here. This is a big piece of art that fits perfectly in this space, and you would have thought I purchased it for this space, which I did not. It's a great example of looking around your house and saying, do you have something that will work better somewhere else? So when I was renovating this room, this was actually in my son's bedroom, and he was heading off to college, and I was going to redo his room. So I was like, you know what? This works so much better down the hall in the other room. So I just took it, and it has a whole new life in here. And so that's just the great thing about things you love. Don't let them live in one place forever. Pick them up, take them somewhere else, and let them have a whole new life. So this is the guest room, bathroom, and it happens to be the only tub in the whole house. Everybody always says, oh, you have to have a tub for resale. And of course we were like, all right, we don't bathe, but all right, well, this is our tub for resale. And so it's, it's pretty luxurious spa-like bathroom, and the guests seem to love it. And I will note, again, more animal print. I can't seem to resist no matter what room I'm in. I've got to have a little bit of animal print. These are actually indoor-outdoor rugs that I decided would be a beautiful alternative to bath mats. So I put those in here. And the other thing that I've done in a couple bathrooms of our house is frost the glass for privacy. So I never really want anyone to have to worry about who's looking in on them or what's going on, or do I need to be worried about where the neighbor is right now. So just to make it easy for everybody and to keep the light coming in the space so you don't have to have drapery or shutters, I frosted the glass in 2 of our bathrooms, and it just makes it so simple and easy. And you still get to see all the greenery outside. And then for those who don't bathe, there's a beautiful shower with marble floors. But let me just tell you my secret about tile. So when we were renovating, I was really overwhelmed with the idea of picking tile for all the bathrooms. So there were 3 or 4 bathrooms that I had to pick tile for. And it's not my forte. You know, I told you I like to copy people, but I didn't have enough energy then to like figure all that out. And so what I ended up doing was just white subway tile in all of the showers, and then in each of the bathrooms I did a different floor to add a little personality to each of those bathrooms. So this was, you know, a little sort of more sophisticated bathroom. We went with the gray herringbone tile. I have another one that's more of a traditional black and white hexagon tile, and I have one that's got like white flat pebbles. And so each of them has their own personality, but it took a lot of the complication out of it for me. I love subway tile anyway. I think it's classic and will be beautiful forever. But each room has its own little vibe that's special to it. Home, comfort, family. I think comfort and family. Friends, of course, but to me, friends are often family. My friends I consider my family. So, but to me, if it's not comfortable, it's a failure.
Thanks for watching. Go to homeworthy.com for exclusive content and shopping guides.